What's going on YouTube? So today I came to bring you guys the Karakuri Link video that you guys wanted. So I'm just do a brief rundown of the cards and why they're in there. You guys got any ideas or any other decks you want me to make or show you guys? Just let me know. But anyway, so let's get into it. So it's not necessary, but I do have 2 death spots in the deck. You only need 1 to get the whole combo started because however, Highly Fireback is going to special summon one of these from the hand or deck anyway, so that's why I say you really don't need 2. I just have it. But yeah, so using 1 is actually fine because once you get started with your combos, because he doesn't have a hard once per turn on his special summon from the graveyard. So even if you, let's say you use the 1 death spot, right, and he gets banished, or not banished, but he gets sent to the graveyard early, or use Foolish Burial instead or something else to send him. Long as you do the combo to get Highly Firebacks out there and summon another machine monster, you're still fine. Because once you get to the Link 3 that's down at the bottom, I'm going to show you guys. Once he does his summons, then that's why, long as you have 2 machines at least to be special at the same time, he can keep coming back without any real limitations. And you can just abuse him. So that's why you only really need 1, but if you can't get that 1, or you can't get the play out because you don't see him, or yada yada yada, as long as you can get him at least in the graveyard, whether you use him with Christian Need Highly Firebacks to get your Auroradon, then you're still fine. Your main focus is just to get him really in the graveyard. If you can get Highly Firebacks out there and use Iron Call to get your other machine, then it's still fine. You just need to get him in the grave to get everything else going. Which again, he's not completely 100% necessary, but he's the best way to do it because it makes things a lot easier from there. Alright, so that's enough about that spot. So, this he's a great transition card because for one, these 2, the Shogun middle number 00 and this guy work so well together. Why? Because from him you can go into a standard 8 that can help you gain more cards through drawing. If you've seen the video, then you know I've used this card multiple times to get an additional draw into my combos. Or if I'm just ready to go straight to my boards of negates, then I can go straight for Borolo Savage using this combination of those 2, because once he's special summoned, he can special summon him off the back. Or I can go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which most times I go into this because the 2 level 9s I have goes into this anyway. So it only makes sense. If I don't get to Crystal, then I can get to this, which is probably a lot easier. Or sometimes I just leave off on him. The reason why is because he has like a delayed effect activation. So if you use something like Alistair the Invoker, right? Yeah, if you chain his effect once he hits grave and turn that level 9, this guy, into defense mode, Alistair will get his invocation card, but right after that he will be banished, or whatever card you decide to chain to it, because it's a slower activation. It's not something that happens then. The only thing you're chaining at the time of is his effect. His effect is a little slower, so it's like a delayed one. Which has come in handy plenty of times, and I wish I could have a video to show you guys, but some of these IQ plays that I have just always in the moment. So if you guys want to see more duels with this, and I'd be happy to show you guys those kind of examples to really take advantage of when using him, unless you decide to go into the 9 anyway. But hey, so I only use 1 level 2 simply because in my original build, I used Naturia Bracken, the little level 6 Naturia Dragon. But this build, I didn't have it yet, so I just made do with what I have. And he usually goes with my level 7 to go right into 9. So I ain't gotta, if I want to skip a step, I can. I don't have to always draw a card. Or if I want to extend combos a different way, I can, as long as I have options. So this is the only card that you want to use 1 of these specifically, never more, never less, because I mean, for your Naturia Beast, you more likely use 1 of these 2 rather than this. So there's no point to even have more than 1. This you can work very well with 2 of them. 3 is just something I choose to do, but you can get by with just 2 if you guys would like. Like I said, one of those. Max C is not necessary. This is completely optional to you guys. I personally use it because if I go second, which I can't control who goes first and second, you guys know that. So if I have it in my hand, then it helps me go more into my combos, or to get, you know, more drastic things to help me, you know, get through those plays or fields that they have. So don't really need it, but I use it because sometimes it's good to have it. And if it's not needed, then it's just a card that just sits in my hand. Which honestly, the whole concept of this deck and how it functions, you only need 2 cards at your hand. You only need 2. Everything else outside of 2 if it's not one of these guys or Iron Call to assist you with the combination to get highly firebricks out there, everything else you don't need. Nothing in your hand matters after that unless you absolutely need something from your hand. But it's a 2-card combo deck, so I mean, yeah, like, it's not helping, it's not hurting. It's just, if you use it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. Now, this personally, honestly, I have it in there, but I don't need it. I don't need it at all. It serves no purpose to me. The only purpose it serves is when it changes a monster. Normally when I use it on itself. So that way, if I have the level 8 out there, he's the quickest way to get an instant draw almost. You're using the level 8, and then after that he kind of sits on the board unless I choose to make something else with him, but I usually don't. So honestly guys, if you guys use them, I would suggest only really using one, just to be honest with you. I just never took him out yet. Matter of fact, taking him out now. Alright, so like I said, bread and butter cards right here. Sorry about that. These guys are your bread and butter. But then here's the trick too with this. Go ahead, tip you guys off if you guys didn't know. Like for example, Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, cards that target first before they negate, right? Not so much as this, because this has to be on the field first. But this guy, since he special summons another monster, let's say your opponent has a board, right, and they getting ready to negate it, or target first then negate, something like that. You can use Forbidden Droplet as a cost to send this to the graveyard once he's been summoned, because it says once it's summoned or special summon, you special summon an earth monster from your hand. So let's say you need to negate something, or like I said, they do Infinite Permanence or something. Well, see, the thing is, send this to the graveyard as a cost, you can still special summon this or something else, and then still, if you have, for example, Iron Call or 1-for-1, you can still take advantage of those cards. Why? Because they Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler they don't have a target. The target is in the graveyard, but his effect doesn't mean he has to stay on the field in order for it to go off and activate, if that makes sense to you guys. So if your opponent tries to stop it first with a card that targets it before it negates, then you can still get away with it by using Droplet. If you guys didn't know, or if, you know, it comes up, then yeah, that's what I've done before, and it continued my combo, so keep that in mind. Ash, I would honestly say you can take out Max C and put 2 Ash Blossoms and still be good. Oh, it's limited to 3. Yeah, so you put 3 Ash Blossoms if you want to, and take out Max C altogether, because honestly, Max C, it helps, but you don't necessarily need it. Ash Blossom, I feel like it's more needed, because it has actually more usefulness in the gates and stuff like that. Because using your level 8s guys right here, between this guy and him, you're gonna get your draws. You're gonna get those other cards that you're looking for anyway. So I wouldn't even really be stressing too much of Max C, unless you guys just want to keep it like that. But I would suggest more Ash Blossoms if anything. Karakuri Soldier number 236. Only one. There's no reason to have more or less, because his effect just changes his position once he gets destroyed by battle. Card effect. I mean, yeah, like once he gets destroyed by battle, you can get any Karakuri from the deck and summon it. So I didn't really see a big need for him. His stats aren't really that good or anything. And just and then he's really good for going to Nigeria Beast. Same as him, his attack stat is better, but on the defensive end, if you needed something and you don't have a good strong starting hand, then this will kind of help you get into that, because you can go into this or get, you know, any other thing out there that you could use. You gotta have a level 4 Watchdog out here, 313, right? So only reason he's in there because he's a level 4 tuner of Earth Machine. you definitely need 4 of them, because it makes it easy to go into those level 7 synchro summons that you need or will use, or that level 8, for example, like Roll Old Savage, or again, this not necessary, but to do your combos and to be able to get negates and draws and summons all at the same time. I don't know about you guys, but it makes me feel good, because whatever starting hand I need, like I said, I'm only using 2 cards anyway to do everything. So once I get past that, to add additional draws to that, which can get me into those Call of the Haunted, Lightning Storms, or Forbidden Droplets, freaking Solemn Judgment at the end of my turn on top of, you know, interruption, negates. Like, come on, man. So you definitely want to have 4 of these every time. And of course, 1 of these just because it's stats, nothing special. And again, just like number 236 here, good for Nigeria Beast with this, or either one of these to go into those plays if need be. Now, I used to use 2 of these because I was having a run-in with getting it to my hand all the time, right? So to use that with this, it has to be in the deck, not the hand. Having 2 of them made it easier when those situations came up, but it's not necessary, because you can get away with 1, because the only reason you're using this is just for the tokens. After that first effect, I mean, most times what I would do if I really need to, I would use this first effect and tribute itself to destroy a card if I can. And then since this is in the graveyard, instead of Boilo Savage Dragon going for Highly Firebacks, we get him 2 counters and only like maybe 750 additional attack points, or 850, whatever. Now he has I think 650. He gains a bit more attack, and he has 3 negates instead of 2. You don't have to do it that way. Either way, it works. You get more plays if you don't get rid of him personally. If you use his second effect, which allows you to special summon him from the this from the deck. But personally, depending on my opponent, depends how many negates I really want. And the worst case scenario, if you do use Highly Firebacks with Savage Dragon, then desynchro is the best friend. Because you can just use the same two monsters you got rid of, make Savage Dragon again, and then here we go. Yeah, it's two more negates again. So yeah, you always gonna have resources, guys. And this is actually very good for all the Karakuri Shoguns here. Because once you desynchro summon, right, you bring back 2 monsters. Well, you bring back 2 machines, you also get an additional Earth Tuner. And if he's not already in graveyard, then you can summon this guy or any of these guys, whatever ones you use to make, using desynchro, bring them back. Once you none of these are hard once per turn either to summon another Karakuri from the deck. So you can spam out more monsters and set up your next spot. Like if I make him and get this out here, desynchro, make it again. Well, now I already got this out here because it's the first time I synchro summoned into him. So what am I gonna do? I go into a Nigeria Beast by getting this out there on the second time I summon it, and boom. It's just that simple. Or same thing with this, or level 9, same thing. You're just helping yourself get an additional synchro summon to go into those other plays. Wish I had a video to show you guys where I did exactly that, but again, I'm sorry. If you guys want to see it, I'll be glad to post it or show it, but yeah. But anyway, so you only use him just because it's special summon effect, because he summons 2 tokens, which again helps that spot number 1 there to take advantage and to go into those other synchro summons and stuff like that. So but he also has another effect to banish, if I'm not mistaken. Once per time you contribute 2 tokens in the card, and if you do, yeah. So not that you'll ever really use the effect because I only carry 1, but yeah, if you just didn't want to, if you don't really use the effect or get him out here, then it's a good idea, but you don't need it. And then since this level goes up by 3 for every token that's on the field, after you get rid of 1 token, right? Because at the end, by the time you get to him, you get 2 additional tokens because of his effect, if you've done the process correctly. So once he's out there, then you're gonna synchro summon using the other tuner, which you should have this out there by the time, because as soon as you get the combination started, once you get those 3 level 3 tokens using him, this is the first thing you want to summon to make a 7, right? And then after that, you get rid of 2 tokens using his effect, to summon this, get his 2 tokens, and again you're gonna make another, use one of these and make a 7. Once you use that 7, now he becomes a level 7 as well, and by this time you should have like at least a level 1 tuner on the field. And instead of using this guy for that sacrifice, you could just use this and a level 1 tuner to go into this or that. Most times I use that because I could use this level 7 for something better, especially if this is an option, you know. So I always use 1 token to get this from like level 13 or 10 down to 7. Once he gets to level 7, that's when I use him to make a Borload Savage Dragon. And then from there, depending on the situation, if I have level 8 on the field or if I don't, I can actually summon this. If I have the synchro in my hand, summon this guy out there and put level 3 with him, or freaking put Iron Call out there. And if I didn't summon Savage before, I summon him now. Or if not, then I can get this guy along with him to summon the level 9. But he also has another additional effect that people don't pay attention to, which is when he's normal summon and you got monsters in defense mode or Karakuri's in defense mode or a different position. No, it is offensive defense, I'm sorry. Yeah, if you have a Karakuri in defense mode, then he draws a card for each one that's in defense. So yeah, so you know, you just draw into him and you just put all your Karakuris in defense without activating their effects. Summon him, you got 2 or 3 different, you know, draws on top of what you might already get from this card. So yeah, not necessary, but hey, draw power on top of negates is very beautiful, man. These are what you would call your, I would call them like more like a recycling card. When you pretty much done all your combos or your opponent breaks your board with Nibiru or something or whatever, you can use these kind of guys depending if they're great in your graveyard or not. You can go ahead and every machine like monster that you've already used to make stuff like this or to, you know, go into this, then you pretty much put all these guys back into the extra deck or your regular machines if you still could use them, if you still have other monsters left, put them all back into the deck, extra deck or whatever, draw 2 cards. It's literally Pot of Avarice in monster form. That is it. And with these being all earth monsters except for a few of these, he works really well pretty frequently. So very good card, man. Very awesome card to use in this kind of deck where you can recycle your plays all over again if you need to. And this is just if you don't have a good hand or don't have, you know, 1 of 6 cards in your hand or this, then any monster on top of this being a tuner can get you the Holly Fibrax. Yeah, you're losing half your life points, but you're just making that consistency. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you guys. It's making that consistency at least 8 out of 10 to keep it consistent. You know, every time you use this deck, you're gonna have some way to do the whole thing every time. I only say 8 out of 10 because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, somehow, some way, it'll find a way to just give you some of the worst, best, and okay hands in the game. So that's why that's in there to kind of help ensure that you have more of a consistency with doing the whole process. You guys know, I mean, I had to explain this. Eldritch, Sky Striker, other decks I use a lot of back row, very useful card, no explanation. Now this is something a lot of people don't use, and I see why it's SR. Exchange. Before you start your plays, like I said, you only need 2 cards to do your combination. A lot of the times your opponent can't do nothing with all these machines in your hand anyway. So exchange is a really good card to snipe out what's in your opponent's hand, so you know what they're playing, or that Nibiru or the Ash Blossom, that Fake Veiler Called by the Grave. A lot of times you're going to come across a lot of these different cards. And starting off your combo, or if you at least got a decent enough hand to know you can get something back, or no matter what they do, you can get your combination out. As long as you get a tuner and a monster on the field at the same time, or one after the other, then every other card in your hand, unless it's like Forbidden Droplet, definitely unless it's Forbidden Droplet, I mean, I would say it's something that's useful to me. But everything else I don't care for. I show it to my opponent because they can't do nothing with half this stuff because it doesn't apply to them. So, you know, usually I would snipe out if they try to see what they got first, like an Ash Blossom or something like that, something that's going to really mess up your plays, which again, Ash Blossom probably is the only card that really mess you up, or Ghost Ogre, or Nibiru. Only reason I use 3 of these cards. You can get by with 2, but I use 3 just to ensure that I get it in my hand, just to make sure if I got the green light to go full combo, or if I need to get rid of something first. And then by getting rid of a card at your opponent's hand, sometimes you get a negate, or sometimes you get something that can extend your combo even further, or just let you know what they're playing with, so you know what negates you need out there. So that's why I use exchange. 2D synchros, I think 1 is fine, but I use 2 just to give me a better chance of having it in my starter hand when I do these combos. And if you guys don't know, I would never use desynchro. If you know for a fact, use the token along with the tuner to get your level 7, 8, or whatever you got in the field. Don't desynchro that, because you're not going to get that token back and that monster. It has to be 2 monsters that are sent to the graveyard in order to get, you know, to make desynchro effective. Because you can use it on a synchro monster, but you won't get those monsters back. So you do not get tokens back. I say that because you never know. Some people do and don't know this stuff. So I just want to make sure I'm clearing everything up and everybody's on the same page. 1 for 1 not needed, but again helps with the consistency of getting that level 1 tuner. Give you that consistency of giving you a tuner on the field and a monster at the same time, just to kind of help get your plays going, you know. Iron Call, you can get by with 1 if you want to use 2, like some of these cards on this list that we did get rid of. If you want to replace what's his number, him altogether, you can go 2 or 3 of these. Reason why is because if you do get Effect Veiled or Ash Blossom, well, Iron Call still works the same way. So if you stop at him and they ash it, well shoot, Iron Call is still on the field. Or if you do get Iron Call to go into any of these, to go right back into doing this again, you know, so it's still there. You still got that option, guys. Lightning Storm, same reason as heavy, as Fairy, Harpy's Feather Duster. Need I say more? Called by the Grave for Ash Blossom, which would be the most troublesome card. And the Nibiru is an issue, but not as big of an issue, because most times I honestly don't see it that often. But yeah, Called by the Grave is definitely a really good card to have. Definitely a really good card to have in this deck to help with those additional negates. And I actually had a duel where I had all my negates on the field and then used none of them, but I just used 2 Called by the Graves and that was pretty much it. So definitely running 2. Forbidden Droplet, I mean, come on guys, you only need 2 cards to do a whole combo. And sending stuff like this and that to the grave, or heck even this, or a dead card, all useful. And if you already used these already, those are all useful cards to be your materials to use, or materials to be your cost to stop whatever you're trying to stop, or do whatever you're trying to do. Especially with big boards, or boards that can't be negated and stuff like that. Because your highest attack monster at best would be 4,050, or just normally 3,000 standard. So yeah, you gotta make sure you pick and choose which cards you put the attack at half on what you choose to use it on, because you don't got no big beat sticks in this deck like that. This stuff to kind of keep them from playing, honestly. And come on, I mean, yeah. So now hopefully I explained that well enough. If not, I can be more detailed and keep it more brief if you guys want me to. So again, please let me know in the comments about this. But this is another beginning card that you would use, guys, once you get new Despot out there, along with the tokens that are generated from this. That's the first card you want to ever summon, because it's a level 4 tuner, and if you don't got him off the rip, then you got a friend in this guy, which gets you back into this. It still gets you the same plays. Now Terror Beast, not hard once per turn, constant spell negates. Sky Strikers are fearful of this card. I mean, they can't do much without, much with it being on the field. So yeah, this is definitely a problem card that most people try to get rid of, because a lot of times most people's first move in a duel is a spell card monster effect. That is the first 2. This is another go-to. You have to go into this right after this. This is step 2. You got to go into this guy, because he can branch off into this, that, or even him, or even that if you really want to, just to extend the plays. But naturally, I always summon this, and I go into this first to get a draw. And once it's summoned, I'll probably go into a 9 after that because I can no longer summon these. So it's very specific on what you summon based on what's in your hand. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, I've rarely had to ever use. I always keep it as a last resort because with 2 negates on the True King of all calamities, it buys me enough time if I need to use this or some way to rotate my cards around to get him back out there to get to this. Then that's what I really save it for, since Crystal Wing can use this effect, you know, turn for turn without losing attachments or anything like that, because it's a synchro monster, not a XYZ that has materials. So I always say that for last. Use this first because again, the opponent can attack, and after the first monster effect is activated, if any, they're done. They can't do anything else. So leaves them kind of looking crazy. But Borlo is usually a first card after this guy that I would summon, simply because I need negates, and if they do have something on the field already before I do, it makes it very useful to use him in those situations. Most of the time I use him and give him 2 negates instead of more than that, because that's usually all I ever needed. Now with this guy here, with this guy here, right, I can go into this, but it's really a preference, honestly. You don't have to go True King. I've usually on two of these guys, and if I see it's a threat on the field or if they need their monsters, because most monsters, unless they directly say banish to get their effect, if you banish them before they use their effect, and unless they get something when they're banished, then yeah, very good card, because if your opponent does something on the end phase, main phase, battle phase, you can just switch their position on any Karakuri on the field before their attack completely goes through, or before they necessarily declare an attack or whatever. You can banish spell, trap, monster, whatever's on the field. You can target it as long as your opponent has it. And yeah, I mean, it's very useful. Sometimes it's actually more useful than this, because that just negates. This actually removes it. And banishing is one of the best ways of removal. If it didn't target, it'd be even better, but most cards ain't got nothing against being, you know, vanished as opposed to being destroyed, right? So good card. Can actually stop a lot of opponents from doing stuff too if you end off on 2 of them. And then you guys know about this. Very rare if I ever had to use this, because I have True King's Calamities or Crystal Synchro Dragon, but never know when you have a Nibiru, or you know, you feel like you need to go into something a little higher of attack power, since most of the time the highest attack you're going to have is probably like 4050 or like 3500 or something like that. So 3200 is pretty useful to go into. Not necessary, you probably won't, but it's better to have options than not to have them. So that was pretty much a brief rundown, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want me to briefly go through, then I will very quickly, so you guys know what you don't need. This is not necessary, by the way. So I'll just give you guys a little brief rundown on what's in here, and what you want to have and what you don't necessarily need. And once you guys make this let me know what you guys think about it. How well has it worked for you? Has it helped you win or lose any duels? Well, gosh, I hope it didn't help you lose any duels, but I hope it won you guys a lot of duels. Just keep me posted, let me know something. Yeah, so make sure I've taken my time showing you guys these cards. Yeah, start with the bottom, well, right here. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope I explained it well. Peace.